Hey everybody, welcome. It is Wingfeather Saga animated series live stream time. I am Chris Wall, executive producer of the animated series, and I have a special guest tonight, my dear friend, Garrett Taylor.
Hello, Garrett Taylor.
Garrett's our amazing art director on the series and maker of so many beautiful things. We'll talk about that in a minute, but thank you all for tuning in. It's been a stormy night here in Tennessee, but it all blew past. I was sure we were going to lose power right as we went live. That was like my thing. Earlier, y'all get like storms that scare you? I was sitting here at the desk, and there was a thunderclap that was like one of those, like in the moment.
Yeah,
It
like it's outside.
like a while to settle. Like, okay, we're in this.
Yeah.
It's cicada season, so good news. They're down. I was sure you could hear it earlier because it like is so loud. I like I was telling Garrett in our driveway, like I have to have my AirPods in. It's like it hurts my ears.
Yeah, they congregate and they kind of rally each other up. It seems like it depends on like I haven't found a rhythm, but
there's an instigator.
When they get going, it's crazy.
You just need to find that instigator and just stop that.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're so glad to be here tonight. We're going to talk about episode 6 of season 2, which came out last Friday. If you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, we're going to talk about it. Okay, there, you know. We're so excited for the season finale, episode 7, coming up this Friday at 2 p.m. Central. That is our big season finale. We'll talk later about some of our season finale stuff we're going to do live stream wise, but we have some ideas. Later in our time together, we will have a fun clip from episode 7. I was telling people in the chat earlier, hop in the YouTube chat because I'm in there, but that I chose a clip that is not spoiler, because pretty much everything in that episode is spoiler. But I found one clip near the beginning with Mobrick that's like, so it's a cool clip, trust me. But I'm just trying to like everything else is spoiler. Like everything's happening in that episode.
It's just the part where the angel logo comes up.
It's just our logos. Yeah. That's our sneak clip.
Done.
We could just do the credits.
Yeah, there you go.
Some of you guys reacted to some stuff that you saw in episodes 5 and 6, and we're going to talk about that. One of the cool things about streaming via the guild is we can take some feedback now and tweak some knobs. So that is happening. I'll tell you about some of those changes coming up. But we have had a really cool merch sale happening for Mother's Day weekend. It ends tonight. And so if you want to jump in there, there's 20% off a bunch of stuff. It's really cool, including shirts like this really cool Oscar shirt, which is featured in the trailer, this line. I had a really cool note today from someone just complimenting Andrew on his Oscar Petit performance in season 2. And I agree.
So good, yeah.
It's Andrew was really good in season 1.
Yeah.
But he's found Oscar so appealing. And we were watching episode 6 as a fam last week. I'm pointing this way because there's a TV over there. And just he's got some great moments that are really compelling.
Yeah. I remember talking about who we should cast for that.
Yep.
And you pushing hard for Andrew and him. Like, no, I'm not a voice actor. But I mean, here we are 2 seasons later, and it's obvious.
We auditioned so many great actors, and there were some really good voices in there. And he was really nervous about like, I'm not as good as that guy. I'm not as good. I'm like, I know, but you're just so warm and the author. So it's a cool thing we get to do. Couple things to highlight. Again, anytime you support us by buying merch, and if you have a friend that you think might enjoy these, they're exclusive at wingfeathersaga.com/store. Wingfeathersaga.com/store. This Sara's Locket, which we'll talk about in a little bit. This was an important one. Actually, let's get into it right now, shall we? I'm just going to get into it. So this locket, which is totally stuck in this package right now,
that's part of the appeal.
That is part of it's you have to be able to unlock it.
Yeah.
Just getting it out of the bag.
Yeah.
But there it is. Got it. Stand down with your scissors. Okay, this locket. So you guys remember what this was? So this is Sara's locket that Janner is making at the beginning of episode 3 in season 1. Yeah. And so here's the locket, and I know it's far away from you guys, but just trust me, there's the locket, okay? And it has a little card that comes with it that is some lavender seeds. You can pour water in this and you can have lavender. It's pretty cool. The name of this locket right here, it says so on the card, is Sara's Bully Blossom Locket. And so this is one that Janner made. He had a card he was following on how to make this, and then, of course, Lily comes in and helps him. But this locket was infused with flowers so as to repel the fangs.
Yeah.
So in episode 6, we were trying to come up with, all right, he's been talking to Sara about helping out, getting involved with we got to push back, we got to get out of this fork factory, and what could we use as some sort of thing? And so initially in the script, and actually we did a version of this, it just said inside the helmet, I'm in.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's too easy. Any maintenance manager picks that up and it's like, into what?
Yeah.
It's just, so I said, we got to have some sort of code word that they could share between them. And we were banding around us, and finally the Bully Blossom came up. And it was like, oh, of course. And it may have been Daniel put it out there, but they would know what that is, right, between them.
It's about as inside as you can get.
Yeah. So it's a deep cut for anybody that saw it in the episode, and I saw some people in the chat like, Bully Blossom, why do I, that's, what am I familiar? There you go.
Yeah.
Little payoff from season 1. But that locket is available in the store, and it's super cool, as well as this shirt. This shirt I wore last week, but the Jules Venera, kind of our cool Star Wars-esque shirt, very cool. And then just because, I love this book so much, we have these amazing art of books. This is a season 1 art of book. It is a really wonderful journey through our process of making season 1 with some beautiful artwork. Here's the Zibsy field. Mm-hmm. Just get all of it right there, and it's really lovely to just kind of look on, and whether you're an artist or just someone who admires it. And then it has the story of us making the animated series, which is an interesting story, let me tell you. Yeah. And then lastly, we have this cool creature mug that just showed up in the store. I love this thing. I actually tonight have a beverage in it, and I can tell you it drinks good. Nice. There you go. It doesn't dribble down my lip or anything like that. Anyways, it's really cool. So head over there. The AR pin we showed last week, or maybe it's 2 weeks ago, I guess. That thing's really cool. Definitely check that out. So wingfeathersaga.com/store, 20% off. It automatically adds to your cart if you go check out with us. And again, anytime you buy any of this stuff, you're helping to support the series and helping us make more episodes. Which after this week, after episode 7 and the season finale, you're going to want us to make more episodes. Trust me.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just watched it again this morning, kind of a QC pass, and the last couple scenes are like.
Well, the whole episode, because we've been going through it a ton this last couple of weeks, and I keep forgetting how much we packed into that. I mean, it really could have been multiple episodes, but I think it fits well. It's got a lot of climaxes.
You'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
All right. Let us dive into a look at episode 6 that we're going to talk about tonight. And then I'm going to set up, we have a really cool interview with Ari, who plays Sara, and Alkaio, of course, who plays Jenner. But first, check out this cool clip, a recap of episode 6.
Good tools get things easy. Bad tools get scrapped.
Sara? That thing took you because he knew we were friends. I'm making a plan to get us out now.
The Overseer would have a word with you.
All the Ridge Runner wants out of life is his next piece of fruits.
I can help you. The song will make you whole.
Mix fangs! Even children, mix them fangs.
Sing the song. All of the song this time. I'll let these children go. Would you sing the Song of Stones?
Yes.
Lots going on there. Fantastic performance from Kari. I know we had her last week as a guest, but then you got to hear this really amazing scene. And we talked about that scene for a while, of kind of the seduction of turning Artham, Pete, and what would motivate him. So of course we added some things. There's now kids, right? That would cause concern and try to put some screws to that. Some of you commented already that, whoa, that was too quick. He changed his mind way too fast. Don't worry, there's more to that. Okay. And some of you said, wait, there's backstory here. We know. Don't worry. But we are staging some of that out to get us into it. There'll be some more details coming up here in episode 7.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that I just like that we've broken it up into various episodes too, to kind of keep that question alive, because there's a lot going on in the melding room.
Yeah,
and
which
yeah,
includes
we'll for sure come back.
a funny character that we'll talk about later. Some of you reacted to the smaller Fang.
Yeah,
We'll talk about him later. All right, I am so excited to play you this interview. We couldn't have Ari and Alkaio together on Zoom like this when we could actually have them in person. So I had the chance to sit down with them when we had our red carpet premiere and sit and talk about this episode 6 together. And we spent some time just really diving deep into character motivations and their acting performances, which you've all gotten to hear. And I think you'll really enjoy this. But we've been saving this interview, been so excited about it. And sit back and enjoy this. When we come back after the interview, we've got some special stuff to do around some collectibles. We're going to talk about those for a little bit, and Garrett and I are able to sign those if you want it. And then we also have a sneak clip, of course, of episode 7, and we'll be answering all your questions. So even as this interview, as you watch this, feel free to get ready with these questions, all right? Okay, so please welcome Ari and Alkaio. Hey everybody, Chris Wall here, Wingfeather Saga executive producer, and I am joined today with Alkaio, who plays Janner, and Ari, who plays Sara. Sarah's back.
Yes, she's made a return.
After we said goodbye to Sara, so emotional for Janner, in the middle of season 1, I don't know if folks at home thought that we might even see her again, you know, because the thing about the Black Carriage is kids are taken and never come back. And yet, somehow, I think it's probably as big a shock to Janner as anybody.
I think so.
There she is, right? I don't. What do you think Janner was processing, knowing that she's gone? Obviously, he tried to get Florid's sword, get some help for her. You know, he did a lot. You don't know this, Sara, but he was working hard. Faced off with Slarb. I mean, he was going. He was really quite a rescuer here. Do you think that Janner ever thought he'd see her again in this setting?
I don't. I mean, not in this setting. I don't think he was thinking to himself, "I'm going to find her in the fork factory."
She's more of a culinary arts fan, so that was a draw. He thought it was a school.
Yeah, exactly. I think somewhere. I think he hoped he would find her and see her again, but I think like somewhere inside he knew that she's probably gone. Like she's probably not coming back, but might as well try.
So it's interesting you said that, because when so let's imagine their world. They had a little run-in with Slarb, a little problem. Took care of it. They, he makes this lovely necklace. Slarb then turns out against Janner, and so kind of his worst problem at that point in the story is just that Sarah's been taken, and unbeknownst to you, lots of bad things have happened. Not only to him, but to even the town of Clipwood. So like, in prioritization, right, where Sarah's the only thing that's the big thing. Then Mom and Grandpa are in jail. You got to break them out of jail. Then we rip out, and now Pete's got claws, and then we got to run for our lives, and then a new army comes and gets us, and we're in the bottom of Ankle Jelly Manor, and it's on fire because you set fire to it, little pyro kid, and then Nugget's, then Grandpa almost dies, and then Nugget's huge, and I mean it's just, and now you're the Jewels of Vanera. So like, unfortunately, I think for Sara, it's like that. What we thought was the most important thing.
It starts, things start to layer on top of it. And
and now you're running for your life.
Right.
Your brother just left you.
Yeah.
Your parents. Gee whiz.
Yeah. I think at some point he just kind of, because Sara was the number one thing on his mind for a while. And then once, like you said, all the things started stacking on top, things started to get more important than trying to find Sara. And then, as soon as he stopped trying, he found her. So. Or
she found him. I don't know how it worked. It feels like a bit of fate, right? That you were running and happened to run by where she was.
Yeah, probably.
And then cross paths again. Right, perfect moment to save each other.
So here's the question: did Sara? You guys at home, think about this one. Did Sara stop Janner to trap him? Was he about to actually get out? Is she a villain?
Ooh.
Or was it actually helpful?
I think Sara was being helpful, or at least she was trying to be helpful. Because we can imagine with all of the things that have happened to Janner and the rest of his family, some time has gone by. So she's probably been in the Fork Factory for a while. And given that we know she's a little strategist from the things that we saw in season 1, I'd imagine she's kind of mapped this place out in her head. Like she has a bit of an idea of what it looks like. Because like maybe she's even attempted to escape before, and that's had some negative repercussions on her. So I'd imagine she probably knows a bit about the place. So when she sees Janner running, she knows it'll be bad news for him if he keeps going. So even though she knows that they're not supposed to speak and they're not supposed to like say each other's names and recognize each other, she wants to save him because he's her friend and she cares about him. So she breaks the "you're a tool" rule to say his name and get his attention.
There might even be a little bit of, like, yes, I agree with that. And there might have been a little bit of, like, she sees that Janner knows what to do. Janner knows how to get out of the situation, and Janner might have been able to get out, but what if she stopped him? So, because she knew he would be helpful in the escape and the release of the rest of these kids.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, that he could help in their revolution. I want to talk more about that in a second. You just said something I think is really interesting, that a person's proper name being said in the factory, right? That you're the first character to say that. I hadn't thought about that in the context of where we are in the story. You know, I think later in the story, not to spoil too much, but Janner's going to start pushing back on that and saying, I'm not just a tool, because he's known as the pairing station tool. That's it. Janner? No. And in fact, this is actually, let's go a layer deep here. So he gave them the name Esben. What's your name? Esben. Flavogel. Man, we struggle with that name. I kept calling it Flavogel, and Andrew's like, no, Flavogel. I have an audio recording on my desktop that is him. It's a pronunciation guide. I get it. It's like Torboro. Torboro. If I say Torboro, he's like, nope, it's wrong.
Yeah. Sometimes I will, when I have to come up with some random name for a board game or a role play kind of thing, sometimes I'll go with Flavogel.
Heck yeah.
Just as a last name, because a lot of the time, I mean, sometimes people don't know what I'm talking about, but the people who do get it, they're like, nice. So it's just it's a fun one.
Deep cut right there. But yeah, so she says the name Janner in the air, right? Like that's a big deal, because it is a little bit of her pushing back on that, and also I know you from that name. I can imagine her. I wonder when she saw Janner for the first time, right? What and why didn't she walk up and just, hey, what's up, right? I mean, probably to not mess things up for him, but obviously chose this moment. So I'll tell you from my storyteller side, we talked at length about this question of whether Sara could be perceived as a villain or whether she was heroic, and so I wanted to kind of solve that a little bit. And so there's a shot in here, which we can play this clip for you, but where once Janner stops, we actually see one of the bigger maintenance managers around the corner that was waiting around the corner who would have kind of knocked him down, right? And so he actually wasn't going to be successful in this attempt to kind of, turn the corner in case anybody thought you were doing villainy. The other thing in here is in the novels, if you guys have read the books, there is a number of references to the overseer using his whip, right? That's like and we see that when Janner first arrives in episode 4, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is a bad situation. In episode 5, and it's a difficult place, right? It's a bad thing, and we're not going to get into the fact that does he use that whip and actually strike children with it, or does he use it just to crack and strike fear? But point is, guy's not a good guy, so you're probably saving him from that too, right?
Is he a guy or is he a creature?
Overseer's a dude.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we've actually talked about this, that he is
He's a weird looking
he
name.
was likely like an entry-level position, and then the boss got taken out when it was an actual Fork
So
Factory.
do you think he was like a worker in the Fork?
Yeah, and so he got promoted, right?
Villain
and now
origin
he
stories.
gets to have it, right? And so
Yeah.
he's really wielding that power in cruel ways. So not a good guy, unfortunately. Okay, so let's talk a little bit further about this meeting. So, I think whenever you see someone out of context, right, there's this kind of delightful moment. And so for whatever journey that Sarah's been on, in the black carriage, right? That's not good, right? And just kind of dealing with all the fears of where that's going to go, because what we know is it's a one-way thing, and then ending up in this factory. Where do you think Sara is in her journey? As far as, is she just at a low? Is she hopeful? I'm curious what you think based on where we know we're going to go.
Yeah. At this point, I feel like that, at least the way that I played it when recording, I feel like she's kind of at an all-time low. I feel like definitely at the beginning, in the black carriage, she probably would have fought back because, she knows, she's heard the stories about what happens to people that get put in the black carriage, they don't come back. So she wouldn't want that to happen to her, so she would have tried to fight back, but it seems like once she's gotten to the fork factory, since she did have such a fiery spirit before and probably would have tried to have some sort of, I had kind of mentioned earlier, an escape attempt or rebel against them somehow and got beaten down, similar to, without spoiling too much, the way that Janner might be in the future. But then all of that has kind of weighed down on her and beaten her down and kind of taken her fighting spirit away. No, maybe not permanently, but right now she's at kind of an all-time low. But then maybe seeing Janner again and a reminder of the outside world and what her life was like back in Glipwood might kind of start to spark a bit of hope again.
So I think actually on that point for you, this is not how it's supposed to be, right? You were supposed to be with your brother, and so Janner's feeling a lot of weight, right? So and here's another reminder, right? Here's Sara, who you feel responsible for, because Slarb knew that she was a good friend of yours, took advantage of that. He's about to go into a tough spot, right? Spending some time in a. It was okay in the novels. It was a book, or it was a coffin rather, and we decided that was too much. There was this idea of actually being a solitary person inside of a coffin. For a kid, nope, that's a little too dark. Thank you, Andrew Peterson. And so we did solitary confinement. Do you guys remember the movie Chicken Run? Old Aardman. Okay, remember the beginning when the rooster's in that box and he's thumping the ball? It's a call out from an old movie too, but that's what we aimed for. It was let's give him a little solitary. It's still alarming because you're in a small space, but it has a food tray and it's not awful. I mean, you're in solitary, but so in that. We're setting up for Dark Night of the Soul, right? For Janner to go through processing, right? I'm trying to be like my uncle Pete, and this is not how he would have done it. Talked about that because in episode 4, of course, there's a bit more of hope, right? We're going to go meet this guy. We're going to go to the ice prairies, and I'm going to take care of my brother. And now things have gone crazy, and your brother's leave me alone, and taken off, and now you're captured in the factory. What do you in knowing where this goes, what do you think Janner's kind of processing as far as his responsibility as Throne Warden?
Yeah, I think he's definitely feeling that weight because now he feels that he's been responsible for Sara and Kalmar now, and I think he thinks he's failed, he's failed them. And so now moving to the ice prairies, now he has to, he kind of has to take care of himself while also trying to think about how this might affect other people and how he can stay safe and hoping that the other people that he cares about are safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, well, let's talk now about what's coming up. So we are headed towards... episodes 6 and 7, kind of finishing out season 2. Some important things are going to happen here, not the least of which is further conversation with these two. I think that we'll want to tease out a little bit of what's going to happen through. I don't want to give away too much, but let's show a little clip here from upcoming episode, and then we'll talk about this. Check this out.
They changed my work assignment to the carriage room. I start this afternoon.
Good. That's the first step.
What's our next step?
I'm going back into the box.
What? Why?
Trust me. 3 days and we're getting out of here. Hop to your station, tool, before I flings ya in a soup bowl.
Okay, so plans are afoot. See if he can be successful getting out of this place. Obviously, Janner's into it. Like, I gotta go. I got responsibilities.
He's ready.
Yeah. She knows the obstacles. It's likely that she's been in the box before as well. Why do you think Sara is hesitant here to try to...
I feel like probably because of how much she cares about Janner and how she knows that he's a good guy and that he wants to do well and he wants to help people and he wants to get out because he has that same like fighting spirit. But because she knows how tough the obstacles are and how they can kind of and how they know how to break you down and that they won't stop until everybody complies to their rules in the fork factory. I think that's probably why like she knows that's kind of happened to her at this point and she doesn't want it to happen to him. So she's trying to save him because she couldn't save herself from that fate, I guess. So she doesn't want to see him go through the same suffering that she did, which I feel like is sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's probably a part where she has some friends around her that she's gotten to know, perhaps, that if they make an attempt, they would be at fault. So Janner's going to come into that again, right? Janner, if you make this move, other people could be in trouble. Mm-hmm. There's this weird obligation for him of like, I've got to get my brother. He's in trouble. I got to go rejoin with my family because there's someplace off, Iceberg probably. But if I do this, I may put these people in trouble. So he's probably working out a more elaborate rescue scheme. What do you think?
I think he starts concocting a plan that's going to help everybody, not just himself, and to make sure that no one else is harmed in his move out. Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully he's successful, because if not, that's going to be a lot to carry for this poor kid. Yeah. We in these episodes, of course, are aware that Nia is really wrestling with this. So I talked with Jody Benson when we watched this episode together. Just this idea that, like, as a mom, losing her two boys in this town, not knowing where they are, how the heck to find them. We see Oscar trying to do what he can with his with Gammon. They're trying, and they're like, dude, kids go away in this town, and we don't know where they go. I think, spoiler, but in season 3 of Wingfeather Saga, we're going to learn a bit more about where the Black Carriage also goes. Oh. Not only does it go here to Fork Factory, but there's other places, and that's not known by even Gammon. Like, some of these folks don't quite know what happens. Like, how hard can it be to track a carriage? Can I just say? Yeah,
it seems like, especially since they're pretty old carriages, they're like drawn by horses and stuff. It seems like they make a lot of noise and probably stench where they go. So you kind of follow them through the forest.
They're just that afraid to follow it, Yeah. Like, get some binoculars, follow the crows. It's easy. But they don't know, and so I think there's questions about how Nia could possibly, so I can't imagine on the outside, right? How would you know to go look at a factory? Like where you guys are, it does feel like you're kind of in a long pit that can't be found. Scary. How do you think Janner's going to hold up to solitary confinement?
Well, I think he's kind of been around people his whole life. He doesn't really have practice. He doesn't have experience being alone like that. And so, especially for a long period of time where you can't move very well, there's a good chance he just might go crazy or starve. There's a lot of things that could happen, but Janner's Janner.
So, Alkaio, you have some emotional performances. You've had some already. Season 1 had to do some crying. Season 2, there's some more, kind of intense things you got to go through. As an actor, how do you step into that? I think it's one of the hardest things to pull off. What's your... I've been in the booth with you, and it's amazing to watch. But for you, tell our friends at home like what that is for you to be able to get to that space and do it well, right?
Yeah, I think sometimes I just like think of a sad moment in my life, but then sometimes I just do that too much, and it stops working. So I think of other performances that I've seen of actors in movies or in TV shows who are crying, and I kind of put myself into that character's head. Like, what's happening to them? Why are they sad? Like, what is making them cry? And then I kind of relate that to what Janner is feeling, and then I like copying people. I like kind of imitating people and what they do, and so if I can kind of try and imitate what they're doing, but put it into Janner's head, then a lot of the time it will come out with a really nice emotional performance.
That's amazing. Well, you do such a great job with it. It's not easy, and especially kind of in the moment, because we're not playing a scene like in theater where you can kind of build into it. Line 37, Janner does this and then cries. Yeah. Right, and action.
Go.
And it's like, I don't know how to get there. I'm always so impressed. So I look forward to them getting to see some of that. All right, for you, the same. Sarah's going to go through some, not to spoil, but some difficult things here, and have to carry off a lot of emotion. How do you access that in your performance?
Kind of similarly to how what Alkaio had said, I like to kind of tap into, or like whenever I'm watching like a series or a movie, especially animated films, I try to look into like try to like see what the voice actor is doing and kind of take notes from their performance and the way that they portray things, or like kind of block out the image and like just listen to their voice and like pair the two and see like try and pick up on different techniques and things that they're using, or like recall different like instances, like you said, that were difficult things that I'd had to go through in the past, or like different things that I know of characters that I've seen, or characters that I enjoy or relate to have gone through in their shows or movies and things, and tap into those memories and recall those techniques that I've seen other people use and kind of try and mimic it or mirror it, and then with my own spin on it for my performance as well. Yeah. That's
so good. Yeah, it's funny. So I'm a homeschool kid, 1982. That's right. Bring it. And grew up watching Looney Tunes, but then really fell in love with animation with Little Mermaid, which is a funny turn now. But we lived out kind of about 30 minutes outside of Colorado Springs in this rural area, and would have long drives into various school activities or church activities, this kind of thing. And I really loved Little Mermaid a great deal, and so I took and recorded the entire movie onto an audio cassette. That's something you probably never dealt with, but and we'd play it in the car, like the whole thing, right? Not the soundtrack, the whole thing. And we would listen to, and I loved mimicking what was happening in those performances. And it's interesting you say that, because I think a lot of my own kind of voice performance, and for my part of my career, has been in learning and finding what were the rhythms of how they said it. There's a musicality to it. There's cadence. There's clarity of diction. There's all these things happening to get a line right, where it's like, there it is. That's the best version of that.
Similar to what you used to do with the Little Mermaid cassette. For one Christmas, I got a little camera, and I loved it. And I recorded an entire Charlie Chaplin movie. This was before I had a phone where I could just watch it whenever, and so I would carry it around with me and watch the Charlie Chaplin movie, and the way he moves is so incredible. It's unbelievable, and so I wanted to be him. I want to try and copy what he did, and so slowly I started being able to do, I would be able to do the moves with him as he was. Wow. As the video was rolling, and I can't do it anymore, but it was pretty cool, because I thought, this is one of the greats in filmmaking, and I want to be just like him.
It probably sounds weird to everybody at home how much actors like to look at themselves and talk about themselves and think about how they perform themselves, but it's, I was a theater major in college, and in this of course with voice actors it's different, but your body is a tool, right? You're using all of this to emote. And Jodie talks about this quite a lot, that when she gets in the booth and gets that, screen in front of her and the microphone, and she's going. It's all in her imagination, right? She's got to fill it all out, that she's really in this moment. She's really in this scary, sad moment. She's really in this, exciting moment, whatever that is, and breathe it to life, because there's little intonations, there's little things that happen in your performances that let us believe it. Also, there's little things that tell us that's not real. I don't believe you, right? It's a difference in of course, famously, if you all know this, but a lot of voice actors talk about being imitated, right? That, I can do the voice of so-and-so, right? Cartoon character. You're like, well, sure, you can mimic a voice. Can you intone? Can you create a character? And I think it's something that you both have really shown distinction for, is creating characters that people believe and create empathy for, right? As we saw at the premiere, in a real room with real people watching, they have empathy for these characters. And yes, it's in the animation performance and there's other factors, but it starts with the believability of performance that you all set in motion. And that takes a discipline of craft. I talk to a lot of folks who ask, how can I be an actor? How can I be a voiceover? I'm sure you get it too. It's like, get good at your craft. I mean, because it's quite a thing. Yeah. And studying the others, studying the greats, mimicking, how do they get there? How do they intone that? And I don't want to totally just become a mimic, but I also want to learn from them so I can.
Yeah, and that's a great point that makes me think of when you mentioned what Jody had said about doing physical things in the booth. Something that I found that helps a lot as well with bringing the being able to bring the proper emotion and intonation with the scenes, especially in the later episodes that you'll see soon, is that we get the little images of the baseline of what the scene's going to look like once it is fully animated, and that really helps because then I can try to mimic the positions and the physicality of what the character is doing, and then that can help put me in the headspace of what they're going through, so I can use that to kind of put myself in Sarah's shoes to help better try to figure out how she would be, what her voice would sound like in that situation.
Yeah. Yep. And you know this, but this is something that I know Ned, our casting director and voice director, does with a lot with, I don't know if you've done it yet, but makes you sit down, makes you stand up, raises the mic to talk up, lowers it to talk down. And to be clear, he doesn't just pick on you. He's done this with Kevin, with a little bit with Jody, though not very much. Jody is Jody, but with Billy for sure. Just move him around and get him in the right space. Which, speaking of, so how is this for you guys? I was thinking about this recently, young voice actors getting to act alongside, and mind you, it's not in that same room, so it's a little weird. But Jody Benson, Kevin McNally, Billy Boyd, Leslie Nichols, Nurgabog. I just am delighted for you. Because here's the thing, you got to hold your own. You show up and you don't have a good performance, boy, does that show up. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah, it's been an incredible experience. I've been so honored to work alongside, especially Jody Benson, because The Little Mermaid was literally my favorite Disney princess growing up, and I had the little dolls and the little, how they would sell the little princess dresses with the wig and stuff, and the little Ariel wig. I wore it around so much how it got ratty because they're cheap anyway, but yeah, so it was such an honor to get to work alongside her, and I know hearing her voice last night on stage live was incredible. It was such a surreal moment. It's been an incredible experience working with everybody.
Yeah, and then you had to have a toe-to-toe with Poto, Kevin, at the beginning of episode 3, right? Where you're kind of about the dragons. Yeah. And he's like, I'm talking about the dragons. Well, I think we should, right? And there's do you get intimidated at all knowing that you're going to be acting against these great actors? You just kind of put it out of your head?
A bit. When I found out that Jody was going to be a part of this, one of my parents was reading off the list of names that you guys had released, and it was okay, this person, Jody Benson, this person. I was like, hold on, wait, hold on, what? And they go, who, do you know that person? And I go, yeah, that's the Little Mermaid. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. So I always, people ask oh, who's in it? And I say Jody Benson, and then they don't really know who it is, and then I say The Little Mermaid, and they go, oh my gosh! And I think acting alongside some of these people who have established that they are some of the voiceover greats is is kind of is really fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely motivation to like bring 100% or 110% every time we step into the booth, since we know we have to like hold our own against these like legends in the voiceover world, so that we can try to rise up to their level a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. And I don't think your characters get to interact with, but Kari Walgren, who plays Stonekeeper, you know, she's amazing. She uses so many credits. And we got to see a greeting from her in the cast thing. It was so much fun, including Kellen Goff, you know, who was Slarb, now General Crack, and Jurgen, who you interact with quite a bit. Yeah, they're really talented performers. So it's a testament to your skill. You guys sound great against these awesome actors.
Thank you.
Well, we've got a lot in store coming up. Rest of season 2, building to the finale in episode 7. We'll see what happens. I think there's more drama in store. And just spoiler a little bit, but thank you all for joining, and thank you both for spending time to chat a little bit here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Glad to have you.
It's always a great time.
And we will watch the rest of the season together, and we'll see you all real soon. Take care. Awesome. Thanks, guys, for sticking around for that interview. Ari and Alkaio are so talented.
Yeah.
I don't know. You guys ask all the time on these live streams, like, hey, how do I become a voice actor? How can I get it? There was a lot of gold in that interview about the process, and I hope you took some notes, because those guys are super talented.
Yeah, that's cool to bring that back up, get their take on episode 6.
It's cool when we're deep in a series like this, because they do have an opinion about their character and start to really want to talk about it, you know? So... All right, we are going to jump into a bunch of questions, but before we do that, I wanted to share, we announced this a few weeks ago and have been making them available off and on, but we have a new way to collect and get some cool merch around Wingfeather Saga called Collectibles, as a matter of fact. And if you can go to angel.com/wingfeatherscenes, you can see different scenes that we've selected that we think are pretty special and memorable. And you can scroll through those scenes and choose your very own. And tonight, you have the option, if you want it, just while we're on this live stream together, basically, to have Garrett or myself sign them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of fun. So we've both got our iPads and pens here ready to go. If you're so interested, you can hop in there. So just go to that angel.com/wingfeatherscenes, and then you can create an account there, and it say explore frames and get after it. And we'd be glad to do that as we do this. Again, anytime you're picking up one of these collectibles, you're helping support the show and help us make more of these episodes. So each of these frames that you get is kind of like a collector's frame. I know we talked about this when we were doing this with some of the Disney, even Pixar collectibles that would be hand-signed by Walt back in the day, or John Lasseter at Pixar, Andrew Stanton, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's always been a big kind of art form with animation, is that inevitably you end up traditionally creating a ton of original art. You know, back in the day it was on cells, and then there's just thousands and thousands of actual paintings. In the modern day, we're all doing this digitally, so we're trying to bring that back, where it's just kind of like, hey, here's a frame from the show that you can have ownership of, and then the signature just kind of gives it value.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you're so inclined, hop in the store and you can purchase those while we do our Q&A time here. And we've got our iPads and pens, and we can sign those as we go. Okay, there you go. And when we're done, you'll be notified on the app that the signature is done. All right, let's go to our questions. Let's do this. First one, Sara, Chris and Garrett. Are y'all throne wardens, kings, song master, or storytellers in an era? Wow, that's a lot of options. Just going to point that out. In my family, I'm definitely a throne warden. I'm the oldest of 7 kids in my family, and so I feel that sense of Janner. Janner is my favorite character. I definitely identify with his journey. So I'd say that. How about you?
Yeah, I think for sure the storyteller. I mean, I've always loved the narrative process and building worlds and visually. So I think in that world, probably the storyteller.
Yeah. That's good. All right. So, we've got, Garrett, you've got one to sign.
Oh yeah.
Hit it, man. Go for it.
Nice.
All right. He's going to sign that while we go. And then you can keep hitting the questions for us while we get to watch him sign. So see how good his handwriting is. Denise, hello. Thank you for being Wingfeather Guild member. Which character was hardest to animate, Janner, Kalmar, or Lily in the second season? We had a little trouble with Janner and his dirty and bruised version of himself. Because the pork factory was pretty rough on him, Denise. But Lily, it's interesting. When we first talked about having this really special character who would have a crutch and have to limp, and just so this really, in animation, that's hard. But we kind of figured that all out in season 1. The animators got pretty good at understanding how to make her move effectively and not, we do have, there's probably still some shots in season 1 where her crutch disappears. She still moves like there's a crutch, but there's no crutch. That prop just kept turning off. It was the funniest thing. But she sold it. It's like a mime. Lily could definitely sell the fact that she still has that limp, but it's funny. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Braden, hello, guild member. Question for Chris. When will we see Kalmar's transformation? His transformation into a king? Is that what you mean? Or something else? Spoilers. Yes, Kalmar's going to go through a lot here. I will tell you that's going to happen in season 3. Yeah. And I'll just tell you that as we finish season 2, so episode 7, season finale coming out Friday, we move right into a lot of interesting things about season 3. So for all of you guild members, you're going to get to join us in that process. That includes we're going to screen some animatics with you and get your feedback. We're going to talk a lot about the journey we're going to take you on in the Ice Prairies for season 3. And that's going to be just inside of the Wingfeather Guild. So hopefully you guys can join us and stay with us there. But we're looking forward to you being a part of this process, kind of bringing you in and getting feedback, including the journey that Kalmar is on as he decides his path. Yeah, obviously some tough stuff's already happened in this season.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
In fact, we talked about this today, actually, literally before you came over, that we got to work on that transformation design.
Yeah, I mean, for that, we've got the cool book covers that Nicholas Cole did. That's kind of the image that we're basing that kind of fanged Kalmar on. But yeah, we've got some refining to do because there's a bunch of acting that we're going to need from him. Mm-hmm. We want to be able to tell that it's Tink, and yet still be a wolf. So there's a very, very kind of delicate balance there.
Mm-hmm. It's one thing to see it in illustrated form, and some of you guys have seen the illustrations in the books as well as the covers. But to have it animated and a mouth moving and eyes working, and there's a lot more to think about to make that all work in a family lineup. It's still got to play.
One character I was finding a good reference was Robin Hood from the Disney Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Movie. Mm-hmm. Just the way that he had a charm to him still, and yet he was a fox character, and so some of those kind of movements, I think we could definitely.
The fox in Zootopia would be another one that kind of for me,
which they referenced a lot of.
Totally referenced. Yeah. Do you know that movie Zootopia was literally John Lasseter saying, "We haven't done animals wearing pants in a while." That was the start.
Yeah.
Let's get a movie about animals in clothing.
Yeah.
And because he was just as a subject, and then the Zootopia was born out of that.
Well, we were just talking about that with my kids today. That Robin Hood movie kind of fits in a different category than all their other princess movies.
It really does.
And it just kind of stayed that way until Zootopia.
Yep.
Because all the rest, like Lady and the Tramp, those are all just animals,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you, guys. Okay. You got another question here. Let's see what we got. Cal says, if you could play someone from Wingfeather Saga, who would it be? Ooh. If you could be one of the characters. In season 2, specifically?
Let's say season 2.
Overseer. I just think it's a great character.
Man, I think Meg Landers was a hilarious guy.
Man. Meg, who looks a lot like Garrett, I was going to say.
I think I'll be Meg for Halloween.
You could totally just be him. Do I have an item to sign?
Uh-oh.
Hold on, wait a minute. All right, hey Sophie, I see you. Hit me with some questions over there on YouTube. Sorry, I was looking away. Well, I don't see it just now, but I'll keep an eye out. I've got my iPad ready. Here you go. Who do you think would voice, Isaac Piano Kid says, who do you think would voice Guildmaster Clout? That is going to be season 4. Just going to put that out there for you, because season 3 is Ice Prairies. Season 4, Guildmaster Clout. You think Mark Oliver from Ninjago? That's a good suggestion. Yeah, we got somebody really good for that. There's a lot of these characters.
We're looking way ahead here.
Yeah, I mean, season 3, we just got to figure out who's going to voice Timber. Let's just get that figured out. That's a hard one. Yeah. I have ideas. Yep. And then after Wingfeather's over, we need to get SD Smith and see if we're going to do some Rabbits with Swords. I know. We've talked, but they're on their own path, doing their own stuff, and we're cheering them on.
We love those guys.
Yeah. Epsilon Minimus. How long does it take to create one episode of Wingfeather? Like, I can see the Gantt chart on the wall, but I don't know.
One episode?
One episode.
But we'd like to finish a season in 18 months, right? So about...
Which is 6.
3 months.
So, yeah. I mean, they all stack up, because you finish one part of one and you move to the other, and then you move to the... You kind of stack them that way and track it all through. So, yeah. Sophie asks, will we get the quote, the longer it sits, the worser it gets? Famous line from Milbrick. Yes, a version of that is coming up in episode 7. Actually, just heard it today. Yep. Oh, Garrett, question for you. When did you get involved? Jenna asks. Thank you for being a guild member. In Wingfeather.
In Wingfeather, good question. Man, we were just talking about this with the fam because it instigated a move for us when I got involved. And that was in 2021. So my time at Pixar kind of was coming to an end, and this new opportunity came up after talking to Chris on the phone. And within, I think, a month or so, we were in the van, packed up, and driving out to Tennessee to be near the crew. And so that was 3 years ago, because we're coming up on that.
I know, man.
Yeah.
This is what's crazy is you get to sometimes work with people who, you share a lot of artistic value or kind of business acumen, different ways. And just even in the way that the Taylors moved, it was like, these are our people. They were such a kindred spirit with your family, and just the way that we think about solving our problems, certainly the way that we operate in our families and what we hold dear. And it's been just amazing to get to walk this journey with you. Like, from the cold call of, hey man, you need an art director. And it was just after Nicholas Cole had declined and said, yeah, man, I'm more of a character design. And he was super intimidated by the idea of art directing on a series. He's like, I don't think I can do it. Yeah. I think I'd break. And I was like, okay, fine. And he was also at that time still freelance renegade guy,
Well, just the timing of that too, because I had no knowledge of the short,
right,
or the kind of lead up to it. My kids love the books, but I was just in a different headspace than knowing about kind of turning this into an animated series. But right when I started looking for another thing was when you guys had gotten funded.
And I was like, bloop.
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Providential.
So glad you're with us. How long did it take for Kellen Goff to voice the villain? Says Speed Jolt 95. So I have a great interview with Kellen from a couple weeks back. You should definitely go listen to if you haven't. He really zeroed in on that voice for Slarb in season 1, then Jurgen, of course, and then moving into General Crack, who now is in season 2. Just kind of found it pretty quickly. We talked about characterization and type and what that character could relate to. Like, it's similar to this other character, the actor wise. I think it's really nice to reference characters from other stories, whether it's a movie or other thing, where it's like, I get that persona, and then make your own version of that. Like, you don't want to just mimic them, but he got in pretty quick. So yeah. Oh, you have another one to sign. Oh, very nice.
Oh,
Archer Taylor. Great question. What was your other one? Audrey says, will we see more of the Fork Factory in season 3, or will that have to wait until season 4? Audrey, that is a great question. Thank you for asking that. So season 3, Ice Prairies, and then season 4, we are going to be in Banrona. So we are fully into Monster in the Hollows at that point, the 3rd book in the series. And as we are leaving Scree, we want to kind of wrap up stuff here because it's going to be a minute before we come back over, right? Because we got a lot of stuff in Banrona, a lot to unpack in seasons 4 through 7. And so we've actually talked quite a lot about this. One of the things we're going to do, Wing for the Guild, is we're going to show you some choices we're making in season 3 about how we wrap up some of the storylines, including the Fork Factory, Sara, what's going on with her and the rest of the crew there. And we are probably going to wrap that up in season 3. That's the thinking right now, just to get it done there. So, Sophie, what's your favorite episode of season 2, Chris and Garrett? My favorite episode is episode 3 for sure. I love the Stranders so much. I just found that so interesting and immersive, and then getting to see the burrows just really lit up a bunch of boyhood imaginations there. How about you?
What was the question?
Favorite episode in this season?
Ooh, yeah, 3 for me for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And when I read about the Stranders, I was like, oh yeah, I could just picture it all happening.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of, I just love how we kind of brought that camp vibe with the smoky atmosphere, and then Claxon just nailed it. Yeah, I love it.
Guess what? On Friday, season finale, episode 7. More Strander Camp. Yeah, it's coming back.
One final look.
One final. Yep. Amber Wingfeather, was the tiny disfigured Fang a Strander before? His little grunt of disappointment sounded like one of the Strander's voices. Okay, that's a great question. We talked about this, I think, in episode 5 recap, but this we put some Strander characters. So we have kind of a variety of characters, but we put a few of them in the crowd so that you could see, oh, they've taken people from lots of places, from Torboro, from Dugtown, even the Stranders, to give you a sense of that. But this small Fang that pops out that's smaller is a hint at, for those of you that know the books, that not all Fangs turn out the same. They don't all turn out big and muscular. Some turn out differently. And that's connecting some dots for Pete, right? Who's in a similar space. So if every time that we did the song, we saw perfect, we'd be like, wait, that's too easy. Also, can we talk about the song a little bit? Some of you have complained, where are the lyrics? It is a melody, and it is meant to be that, much like Ursula's song in Little Mermaid, where it is a haunting melody. Now, what you've heard so far is the minor chord version of that melody. I will tell you, there is a major chord version of the same melody. It's very cool the way they work. Isaac from Arcadian Wild wrote this, and you'll get to hear that version at some point in the future when it is sung for different meaning. Okay, so add different motivation. So yeah, there we go. But good questions about the song. Also, pay attention in the app, because you there may be a new version of that song coming. That's all I'm saying.
Cool.
Oh, I think you got some more to sign here, sir.
Do I?
Yeah, they just keep coming. Look at you go. Yeah. Question for Garrett.
Yeah.
What you got? Elena says, what made the art director guy? I'm officially calling you art director guy. Sorry, Elena.
I like that.
That's funny. Want to make the art the way it is. I love the art. Yeah,
the art director guy.
Yeah, director.
I like that. In an animated show, one thing that everybody has to keep in mind is that it's a giant conglomerate of people. It's like every art form that comes together. So there's a lot of discussion that happens. And though it's my job to kind of shepherd all that, I would say that the look of the show was very much the result of a lot of conversations, a lot of just talking about, what all of us as leads like. And then on the other side of that is just, in the world of animation, we have a very polished look coming from Pixar and Disney.
Yeah.
And it's nice. It's great. It fits in a category. It's very expensive to make. We wanted something that could look beautiful and be able to hit that mark. And so the style that we came up with was kind of driven by that. And it's the best look that we could we could use in that way. And so it's basically, we're trying to make it look like a painting.
Yeah, which again, in the Art of Wingfeather book, which is available now in our store, you should go check it out. You can see a lot of these paintings, but these Art of books were definitely an inspiration too, which is like so much of the art that art directors like yourself have made over the years. I've got a collection of books right over there. Are just so cool in this painted form. So often in animation, it gets adapted to something else.
Yeah.
And in our case, like this shot of Pete's treehouse on the cover is literally what's in the show.
Yeah.
But this is a painting, right? That was made, I think, by Aiden, right?
No, that one's Yuri.
Oh, that's Yuri. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, Yuri. But these paintings are actually what's in the show. And if you've watched the credits, you guys have seen, we kind of unpack those paintings to show you a little bit of how we make the show. And I think embracing the artist's raw craft to the screen without filter is really the goal here.
Exactly. Yeah, we just want to be able to see that actual art. It gives it a handcrafted look, and it just creates the world. Yeah.
And it allows you to kind of get spurge your imagination to fill in details, right? Because we're not giving you all of it, which is really important. I saw this question pop up and I want to hit it. Hello, HBP Gaming, sorry. Did nobody think in season 1 they could use the water from the first well to heal Lily's leg? It's so obvious. That's a great question. I would ask if you have read the whole Wingfeather Saga book series. If not, it's totally fine. But there is a moment late in the book series where we will be answering that question. Okay? Getting straight to it about the first well. Andrew and I talked about it a few weeks ago in a live stream that the first well is just that. It's just a well of water. The people have been asking, is it magical properties? Is there religious significance? All this kind of thing. And it's like, no, it's just the first well that the maker made, and it's really good water. And does it have some healing properties? It does. That's what that is. Now, what kind of things it heals and how it heals, and does it leave? There's a really important storyline that you need to pay attention to. Actually, regarding Nag the Nameless, our ultra villain, Nag the Nameless who has no name, that would tell you a lot about why with Lily, even if she had, which we don't ever show that she does try it. I mean, maybe in kind of secret, she drips him on her leg and sees what happened. Why maybe it didn't do anything. But it's a great question, but it's a real important story thing. Yeah. More questions. What you got? Chris and Garrett. Which Screen town would you live in? Says Jenna. Glipwood, Dugtown, Torboro, etc.
Dugtown seems like a fun place.
I like cats. I don't love cats. I think Torboro might be a little too much for me. Like, I don't love him in that way. I love our cats, but I don't love it in that like fantasizing way. Like, no, that's too much. So I think Torboro would just get on my nerves. Dugtown's a little seedy. Glipwood is interesting. I grew up in a small town. I grew up in eastern Colorado in a town called Calhan. Wow. And so that small town vibe of like Glipwood would probably be something I was used to. I definitely had neighbor farmers that totally were referenced as we were thinking about those characters. I've been around those guys. Yeah. Yep. It's great. All right. Let's see. Have you considered hiding a piece of merch in the show? Obed asks. Well, kind of. I mean, the necklace is that. Yeah. It kind of happened the other way. We made the necklace, and then Brock was like, he helps out on a lot of our merch stuff. Was like, hey, what if we made an actual necklace? Oh, that's a brilliant idea. A lot of times in TV shows, they will do that, right? Well, they'll place the merch in the show so that you can have that link. We're not so smart. Most of the time, it shows up in the show. We're like, that's cool. We should make that merch. But yeah, that's a funny thing.
I mean, there's a lot of room though to make all the kind of cool props that we see. I mean, Janner's sword, the whistle harp. So in-world stuff, I think there's a lot to be explored there.
Okay, gonna go speed round here on a bunch of these questions because we're running out of time. Omega Wingfeather, we released deleted scenes on YouTube that are currently in the Wingfeather Guild. We've got deleted scenes we're going to keep adding in there. Perhaps eventually, we'll see. Derry007 asks, is that Micah Derry maybe? If it is, hi Micah. Who is your favorite maintenance manager you love to hate? My mom wants to know. Well, it's not your maintenance manager, just so you know. Although you're pretty mean there, sir. I actually think Ella's maintenance manager, she is that she was in episode 6, yelling down at Janner, look at this kid, he thinks he can work his way out, that guy. That was Ella. She was one of our crew. I like that character. I like to hate that character.
Yeah.
Sophie says, I like how you made that girl with the bun friends with Sara. It made it much more personable and devastating when she got taken. Out of fear, great storytelling. Thank you, Sophie. We're looking for some way to motivate Sara to take a risk, right, with Janner. And so we added the Sharpener girl. Do you want to? Here's a trivia piece for you. That actress was first heard by you guys in. Oh, you got another scene to sign.
Go.
In the short film in 2017 for Wingfeather Saga, and she played the character of Lily in that short film, and she now reprises her role in the series. It reprises a role in the series by playing Sharpener Girl, who ends up going to the coal bins, and that's my daughter Charlotte. Yeah,
that's cool.
She had to do the crying scene, and it was really intense. And but yeah, that's Sharpener Girl. Yeah, there you go. There's a little hint for you. Will we get a Merrily t-shirt? Thank you for keep mentioning it, guys, but we need to get a Merrily t-shirt. I agree. Wingfeather candles, Sophie? Really? I'm not sure. But yeah, that's a good one. And oh, okay. Digital Fairy. Thank you for asking. I'm totally overthinking this. I don't think you actually are. If the Stonekeeper we saw is the same age as the nameless Big Bad himself, Nag the Nameless, how did she keep looking so young? There are 2 Stonekeepers. Check your book. This is Amra, daughter of Murga. Murga is the older one, who is as old as the nameless guy. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yes, Omega Charlotte does that. She's awesome. She did such a great job with it. Okay, Isaac asks, will we see more about Artham and the... Hey, try to tag me in the YouTube because that'll light up. I'm not on the Wingfeather Saga channel. Will we see more about Artham and the Stonekeeper in the season finale? A little bit, but you saw most of it in episode 6. Will Lily get a new pet? Not till season 4. Though actually in season 3 she has a connection with another animal. That's really fun.
Yeah, keep it going.
Yeah, she's got such connection with animals. All right, what you got? Another question, keeping them coming here. Will the Song of Stones rhyme, the full rhyme, Elijah asks, sing the song of ancient stones and the blood of the beasts will be your bones, be included. Yeah, so we saved that a little bit. And there's a key reason why it will show up in season 3. But we saved it here because there's another character we didn't want to introduce in season 2. Except for the credits of season 7 or episode 7. Omega, I know, snot wax candles. It just, what would maybe. What do you think? Sophie asks, what do you think personally happens to Janner and Sara? Do you think they ever got together? I don't know. Yeah, no, the younger one can't be Nag's age. Sonderwalk. That's not how it works because that's the daughter of Murga, right? And so, and she's quite younger. We're saying, like, who's the dad? I don't even know. Don't want to know. But what if it was Bonifer? Anyways, yeah, what's your question? Audrey says, when will you release date for the next Feather Fest? Oh, yes, we want to do another Feather Fest. We are probably going to look at some stuff this summer, not only here in Nashville, but elsewhere. Probably looking at someplace in Texas first. But we had so much fun with those Feather Fest events. Just great ways to meet fans and hang out. And yeah.
We got to have one in Texas. Where would be the next?
We see, Texas, as you may know, is what we call a large state, which there are a lot of people and a lot of geography. So, I mean, thinking about, we know Dallas area for sure. That's probably 2 things, Dallas and Fort Worth separately. Down in Houston, we know we got a lot of fans. Got to hit San Antonio and Austin, so we just kind of get all over the state. And then from there, we've had a lot of fans in Washington, certainly California, down in Florida. We were thinking about maybe triangulating around some homeschool conventions. That's a good way to gather people together. So yeah, we're still working on it. But we definitely want to do some more. Okay, question. This is a great one. Gabriel, thank you. What were the writers going for having Crack not knowing what the jewels are episode 4? Okay, so in our version of the story, in the animated series, we are definitely keeping information isolated. The books has some places where it got a little sloppy, where we knew the jewels of Vanera are the children. It makes it really easy to track them down, right? A mother of a certain age, a grandfather who has a peg leg and is a pirate is so easy to find. A bookseller traveling with 3 kids, one of them has a crutch. Like, you could find them anywhere. They're so easy. So we opted instead to keep it that the bad guys know that they know about the jewels of Vanera and presume they have them with them, like that they're like actual jewels. They don't know that the jewels of Vanera are actually children. Okay, that's new. That's information they don't have. The bad guys don't have that information. They think the jewels of Vanera are actual jewels. And that's because, as you saw in the melding chamber in episode 5 and 6, is that they have a piece of a very important rock, if you will, that is out of the Fane of Fire, that is Holo-El and Holo-Ray, who are part of the song from episode 1 of season 1. And those are magical rocks, basically. So they presume the jewels of Vanera, which Nag the Nameless knows is going to give him a lot of power because the first book said so, are actually going to be rocks. The fact that they're children doesn't make any sense to him for a while. And so we're keeping all the bad guys just believing that the Igiby family, the Wingfeathers, know that. And so in the books, there's a bit more of everybody kind of walking around, I'm Jenner Wingfeather, a lot. And lots of people knew they were the Wingfeathers, and we thought we'd play around with keeping that more secretive. So, big one. Okay, that's a big question. Hit me with a couple more questions, and we got to wrap up our time tonight. Let's see. There's one I was going to bring up. Okay, so in episode 6, we got to see our coffin box, and we've talked about this, that we didn't want to actually put Janner in a coffin, and this was a production design thing. Story as well, that putting children in a box in a TV show is probably not a safe idea. So we opted to go something different. Yeah. That design, I think, did you design it, or was it one of the designers? I can't remember where it came from.
No, yeah, that was probably Eustace. He was our environment designer on season 2, and again, lots of conversations about it. But I think it was you who said it can't be a coffin.
Not a strict one.
Yeah.
But what could we...
Yeah. There was 2 issues with that. One was it could be too hard to watch in some senses. And then 2, you can't get a camera in there. So it would just be a bunch of dark scenes. And we actually end up seeing quite a few shots and sequences in there. So the idea that it was cramped, where we left it was that he can't fully lay out. And so it's very uncomfortable. There's no way to just like take a nap. And there's just nothing in there. It's thick metal. It's even shaped like a coffin to kind of give homage. But
it's interesting how the design actually feels a little like a split between the black carriage and a coffin. Like it's got the bad guy motif, right? Feels like it all came from the same guy, that was making these
the big metal rivets and the corners, and
then the chains holding it, which is really interesting, right? That you couldn't knock it over or whatever, like that makes it even scarier.
I know that was the question too: is what are these doing in an old, metal factory,
right?
But they found a good use for them.
Had a lot of fun in the fork factory, making sure that we showed you, along with swords and things, but forks added in from time to time. Did you guys get to see all the posters? So in the tour, of course, in episode 5, but then we show them again in 6, there's great posters like this one, Weapons Don't Build Themselves. Lots of really fun ones that are tucked around in different places.
No tooting.
No tooting. There's also an important character that was introduced in episode 6. I think he showed up in episode 5, but we didn't talk about it. But a very important character who hasn't been named here, but is Borley. Many of you know from the books, that's a very important character, and we're so excited to see him finally come to life on screen. The other character, I think some of you actually got this in here, but we also introduced to Wallace, So he was the one who stopped Janner in the Apple little thieving moment, which, by the way, coming up with a design for the Apple tube things was really fun. Messing around with how does it even work?
Yeah, like is there like 1,000 apples in that? But the concept needed to be there because we needed him to be able to track that he could get some impetus for Mobrick, some way to get him on his side.
Nitrogen in there to keep him fresh. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the sound design, if you play that scene back, both when he's in the office the first time and he gets it, I think it's episode 5 or 6. I get them muddied. Sorry. But there's like a of them moving around the pipe, which is really fun. So yeah. Oh, you got another one to sign.
Neil.
Right. Keep doing the collectibles. We're almost done tonight, but yeah. Anyways, that's great. Okay. Let's see what else we got. Dun, 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 dun. What is the fourth Wingfeather child called if there are 4 of them? Actually, I've asked this question to Andrew, and I don't remember what his answer was, but there was a 4th child thing, and I don't remember what that was. But okay. Any other questions we can answer that are not spoilers? Art for the King. Janner's father, is he dead? Esben is presumed dead. We're pretty certain because they left him in the burning castle, and then of course Pete showed up. Pete's not been able to give them. He's Esmond's brother, older brother rather. He's the throne warden, but he's not been able to give them information. When they talk about Esmond, he kind of loses himself and gets crazy, so they don't know for sure. Andreas, yeah, Laura Wayne. Thank you. Yes, Laura Wayne is the 4th child. And then let's see, anything else in here? Season 3 auditions soon. Yes, we will have some auditions coming up, hopefully this summer. We'll talk more about Season 3. Again, as we finish Season 2 here, I think you guys are really going to want to lean in on helping us get Season 3 fully greenlit and funded. That's on our fans. It's been amazing. You guys, as you support the show and are watching it here in Wingfeather Guild, as well as all of you that are helping us through pay it forwards and merch and all that are helping to pay for Season 3 to be funded, to keep making the show. We are community supported. We're going to have more information about that coming out in a couple different YouTube videos to help explain that concept further. But you guys are making the show. That's how it works out here. It's pretty awesome. Yep. Emily asks, when we see the Season 3 teaser poster? Fairly soon, actually.
I know. I was just thinking about that. We need to crank on it.
Sophie asks, is Ferenia in Season 3? As a matter of fact, she is. Yeah. Had fun. Yeah, that was really great. Yeah, great questions, guys. Okay. I think there is more to come. Okay, Andrea, yes, I hear you. She was pregnant with Amra when they came to Throg. I think that's described. So fair. Okay, so her and Nag could be a similar age. Yeah, fair. But Murga is a lot older. That's all I'm saying. Because Murga is... I look forward to casting and creating that character. That's going to be fun. Amra was really fun to create, just kind of thinking about the younger, more svelte, compelling character. And then, I'll get into it further. Is it fun being a director? It is fun being responsible for the story all the way through, but it's demanding. You have to have opinions about everything. You can't just kind of I don't know. Yeah, you have to know what that story needs to be. Is that Rockroach just walking around now? So, I think Area Archives, Elijah. I think that the troll probably won that battle and maybe knocked it silly, but then it's just wandering Liquid Forest and doing all kinds of things.
I think we should do a series of shorts based off of that.
Yeah,
maybe it shows back up.
Just cuts away to the forest and goes through. That'd be a good take scene. Yeah. Is Zuzab really dead? Omega, there's debate among the team. So we have options because the way we directed that was, he got eaten.
He's gone.
But Andrew wanted an option in case he wants to kick it back. So, okay. Let's move on. Thank you all for your questions. This is great. Episode 6 was a lot of fun to put together for you guys, and episode 7 is coming next. All right. Every time on Tuesday, we reveal the title of the next episode. And so tonight we are ready to reveal the title of episode 7. It is Escape to the North.
Yeah.
There it is. Escape to the North. There is the Overseer looking awesome and threatening. So I think you know what's coming up there. Lots of whip action in this episode, that's for sure. So that comes out this Friday, 2:00 in the afternoon, and we are going to have a really fun finale time together, and we'll talk more about that this week, so pay attention. If you aren't following us on our socials, please do so. Hit that follow button, and if you've not followed us on YouTube, definitely do that. Hit the subscribe button, please, and like us there. That helps us to build that following even bigger, so we can tell you all the things about Wingfeather Saga as we head into the end of Season 2. Thanks for being here tonight.
That was fun.
Thanks for signing some. Garrett will still sign some of these collectibles. So if you have a collectible that you have chosen out, and Garrett will stay on here for a little bit after we wrap, and sign a couple of them. And you can have me sign them too. I've got mine open here too. Glad to do that. And otherwise, we will see you next week. Check out this sneak peek from episode 7 coming up this Friday, and we will see you later. Good night, y'all.
See you guys.
Tell me a tool didn't just speak to me without permission. Tell me I don't have to waste my time filling out an impertinence report.
If you do, you'll miss out on a treat.
Miss out? And what could a tool possibly have that I would give a troll's stink about?
Fruit?
I'm confiscating this, and I'm reporting you to the Overseer.
Such a pity. You'll never get the rest of my stashed apples then.
You have more?
Oh, I've got many more.
Where are they? Give them to me.
They're hidden. And if you can do me one little favor, we can both be happy for a long time.
Tell me where the apples are hid, and I might not report you.
Promise me a favor. Swear it by the hills and the hollows, then I'll tell you where they're stashed.
The hills and the hollows? How does a tool know about such things?
Maybe tools aren't just tools.
I'm not helping you escape.
I'm not asking you to. I want you to do something for another one of the tools.